How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Master Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. Doing a little bit of Undefeated Saison, hopeful goodness, most likely goodness, in the form of Funky Buddha's Undefeated Saison 2018. Yeah, I have reviewed this beer almost, I think it's every year for the past like 3 or 4 years. Why? Because they release this beer every year when the last NFL team loses. This year was the Rams. They release it, and it's kind of their version of the champagne toast from the 72 Dolphins. And that was what this is based off of. They go out of their way to say this is it doesn't have any relation to the football team, but we know what they're talking about here. They're kind of celebrating the only undefeated team in the history of American football, and that would be the 1972 Miami Dolphins. So I've done this pretty much every year. I usually don't re-review beers that much, but I like to gloat a little bit, especially when your football team has been sucky for so long. You got to kind of grasp onto those straws when you get them. So, yeah, let's dive into this sucker because it's a little bit different than years past. Same but different. We'll get to that. Funky Buddha. It says barrel aged. That's your difference. Undefeated Saison. Brut. I say Brut. I don't know why. I just can't say Brut, but it's a Brut on here, and this is I believe the first one I ever did is here, and they've been doing it for years, and it's something very popular nowadays. I've done a couple Brut reviews of beers, especially in the IPA realm, and but I haven't posted them. But to see them actually be doing this for years and applying it in a beer like this as opposed to the imperial stouts that were typically used for, but more nowadays your kind of Brut IPAs. It's kind of, you know, people think it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. Basically what Brut is, it's some weird enzyme that starts with A that's really long that I can't pronounce without reading it, and I'd probably still butcher it. It basically strips all sweetness from the beer, takes all residual sugars out, and makes it kind of dry. Now, they talk about this being a Saison-style ale brewed with grape must, champagne yeast, and aged in Chardonnay barrels. They're doing the champagne yeast thing. I think the Brut on top of that is more to dry the beer out and giving it more of a champagne kind of thing. Hence the champagne toast of the 1972 Dolphins. It's 8.6, and I believe that's a little bit bigger than it used to be. Let's go to the tape. Yeah, 7.7. I know it's fluctuated slightly, and where this one kind of differs is that this one is aged in Chardonnay barrels. So up until this year, the base beer was not barrel aged. But last year, they actually came out with a living barrel series compatriot with this one. Actually, when they sent it to me, they sent me both. They sent me the base and the barrel aged version. They pretty much graduated that living barrel series, that looks like, into the base beer. So you're pretty much going to get this and not the base beer anymore, which is cool because that Chardonnay barrel one kind of blew my titties off. So what else do we have on here? I think that's it. Done and done. So yeah, I usually wear my Dolphins jersey for this, but you know, let's put it this way. I love my football team. Worst colors. I hate their colors. I don't like them, so I'm just not wearing it. Plus, I actually don't know where it is. I moved, and I think it's in a pile of something somewhere. So let's give this a pour and see what she's got. Like I said, last year's barrel-aged version treated me quite well, so yeah. Let's see what we have going on here. Yeah, a little bit darker than what I remember. It might be a little bit closer to the barrel-aged version, which kind of makes sense. But you have this 2 fingers, horrible pour of mine, of a rich, creamy, head on it. You definitely have some gravity-defying creaminess to it, and a rich, murky kind of haze. Now, you're talking about a Chardonnay barrel. You're talking about grape must in it, so that makes sense for it to kind of turn this kind of shade of richer kind of caramelly kind of brown to it, because the head is, you know, your typical Saison, especially French Saison, is going to come off a bit lighter, but with all those bits and pieces floating around, kind of makes sense it has that kind of color to it. So yeah, soft carbonation. Let's see if I can get a nose to this big ass head. Snort a little bit of foam. That's how you know you're getting in there. She's got a nice sweetness to her, to be perfectly honest with you. A nice amount of sweetness. When you're talking about that Brut enzyme, you expect that kind of sweetness to be stripped out of it. Now, I don't know the actual mechanics of how the Brut enzyme works. I don't know if you pitch it early, and then let's say you re-rack it in the barrels, does the enzyme live on and repropagate and stuff like that? So I don't know the ins and out of it, how it works in that way. So it might have been used to strip all the sweetness out of the base beer, and then when it was thrown on must, thrown in a barrel, and then re-fermented, maybe gain some sweetness. Again, it's above my pay grade. I don't know that, but I am getting a bit of sweetness in the nose. A nice rich kind of grapiness, a nice rich dark vinousness, like a Merlot. You know, they're talking about, what are they talking about? Cabernet or Chardonnay barrels. I'm getting a bit more of a richer kind of grape to it. And there's like this a savory component too, like a soft, smoky, umami kind of almost Worcestershire sauce kind of thing going on in there. It's kind of cool, to be perfectly honest with you. Multiple layers here. Yeah, it's rich. It smells like an aged beer. That's where that savory portion of the show is taking me. But I think it smells fantastic. Different than what I remember. See what she tastes like. Cheers. That's fun. That's fun. The carbonation is beautiful. It stops short of being aggressive and sprightly, but it has this kind of, it has an oomph to it. That champagne yeast is working overtime. It comes off like sharp, but a little bit funky and definitely dry. And then you add that added component of the brut portion of the show, the brute portion of the show. It even brings it a little bit more dry. Now, you're getting that grape must in huge proportions here. Very meaty, very rich, very dense. So that adds a sweet component to the mix, but it never gets even close to being overly sweet. And then there's that soft, savory portion of the show behind it, like that little bit of soft Worcestershire, kind of smoky, I was going to say sardine anchovy kind of thing, but that's what I kind of think. I know that sounds disgusting in a beer. It doesn't taste fishy. It just tastes savory to me. It's fun. Beautiful mouthfeel. Beautiful mouthfeel. A combination of that champagne, the brute, and the oak, drying everything out, giving that sweetness on the other end of things from that grape must, from the beer itself, and having it be so dry, but still getting some sweetness from it, and in the depth of character from both the wine portion of the show, from the Chardonnay barrel, from the grape must portion of the show, but the beer is still there. You're getting the soft pepperiness, soft smokiness, soft kind of a gentle French Saison. French Saison's not usually a huge beer, so you're throwing all these things at it to actually have the beer stand up to all that. Those things are bigger than the beer, but the beer's not lost in it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It's a tasty beer. It's really, really nice. We're getting very close to wine adjacent kind of territory here. It's very much beer. It's not going to be confused with wine. There's a lot of notes in here that are very wine-like without that tart, acidic portion of the show that I typically get from wine that kind of turns me off. So it's giving me all the flavor points that would turn me on and do turn me on from wine, but not giving any of the negatives that turn me off with wine. So it's kind of giving me the best portion of the show from beer, from wine, from barreling, the whole nine. It's a really tasty beer. That's fantastic. That's great. Just from the mouthfeel to how rich it is, to how cohesive all those parts are intermingled, intertwined. Nothing tastes separate. Fantastic beer. I mean, you can talk about Funky Buddha kind of jumping the shark and becoming big beerish, but they're still producing beers like this. I'm a fan. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better barrel-aged Saisons I've had as late. Yes. One of the best. Value and availability, no idea. Never paid for it. I'm lucky sometimes like that. But if you're getting this at less than $20 to $7.50, I'm all in. It might be more, who knows? But that's like we're in a perfect world where I'd like to sit and leave you with. If you like what we like this beer, if you like Saison, if you like wine barrel aged beers, if you like well made beers, if you like pretty beers, if you like dinner beers but also showcasey beers, if you like good beer, guess what? This is good beer. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little undefeated Miami Dolphins season right now on top of the beer. Greatest team of all time, baby. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.